Morning, guys. This is Shane Gorell, Elastic Triangle. More than 8 million kids have gone missing um, without a trace. People can't find them. They're just gone. And more than 67,000 people have gone missing in the Alaska Triangle within the last 20 years. That's without a trace, gone. Um, they go out into the wilderness of Alaska and within the Alaska Triangle, which spans from Juneau to Barrow, Alaska, and down to Anchorage. So that's the triangle. Anyone that goes into that triangle area, um, their life is at risk for sure. 67,000 people have gone missing in the last 20 years in that triangle. Um, you know, I'm sure not all of them are. They go missing because of bear attacks. Some of them, of course, not all of them. There are other elements. There's, the snow and ice, and uh, even a wolverine will attack and kill somebody. There's wolves. There's coyotes. There's what else? Just the pure elements of the being cold out there. It's in the middle of winter. If you break down in your car and you take off to go walking in the middle of the night, boy, your risks go up a lot in Alaska. Definitely staying near your car is the best thing to do. If you don't have any heat, if you slide off into the ditch or something, I'd suggest build a fire. And if it's ice cold, you can pop a hole in your gas tank and get some fuel out and build a fire. That's what I would do. I'd probably, you know, uh, I would definitely do that. And fire starter, you can use the cloth on your seats. If it comes to life and death, you rip your seat, use the cloth, and to start the fire, you can use your battery. To create spark, you can use any piece of steel and go from the lay it on the positive side and the negative side, and it creates spark. If you don't want to shock yourself, use some of that seat material or something. But there's a way if you have the will to do it, if you have the will to survive, and I definitely have that will. If I break down, that's what I'm doing, and and then right away I'm gonna be probably trying to find something to eat, and even if I just break down 20 miles outside town, I'm not gonna just sit there and wait for somebody because your life is at risk. So, and if you need something to drink and you don't have a bottle, you can probably figure it out from a piece of your car as well. You one time I needed a bottle. My radiator blew. I had a old beat up truck and it was a SUV, not really a truck, but and I was like, oh my god, I need a bottle. I need to put water back in that radiator. And I didn't have one. I didn't know what to do, and I was like, oh man. So I start ripping at the windshield washer fluid bottle, and I couldn't get out because it was bolted in, and I it was just racking my brain. And then I lifted up the back uh, door of the SUV, and there was another bottle for the back windshield washer, and there was only one tiny little bolt hole in the end, so I ripped that out, and I used that to fill back up my radiator. I rinsed it out, found a little creek, and it was really the creek was nearby, and so I just submerged the bottle and filled it back up and took it back off down the road. Um, so you just got to do what you got to do. And I was on a bus one time, a Greyhound bus, going from Seattle to Montana to go pick up a semi truck, and someone just abandoned on the side of the highway, and the bus overheated on top of a mountain. And so bus driver pulls over, and we're sitting there probably an hour. And finally, I walk up to him. I'm like, "Oh, what's going on? Why are we sitting here?" And he said, the bus overheated, and the belt broke because he got out of the bus and he went back there to check the motor. And yeah, he said the belt broke. He said, I have a belt replacement, but the radiator, what did he say? The radiator, something wrong with the radiator. He said that it had a hole in it or something. And and then so I was like, well, if you need help, I can help you. So he went back there, replaced the belt. It was like the serpentine belt. And then I looked down the motor, and there was steam coming out the side of the radiator hose. And so I think the belt broke, and then ripped a hole in the radiator hose. And so he said, I can't fix that. I don't know how to fix that. And I said to him, I said, I can fix that. And so he let me, and I just cut off the end of where it was, where the hole was. I slid it back on, refastened it. Then I went on the bus and I asked everyone for their water bottle. A lot of people had empty ones and whatever. I pulled them all off. I pulled everyone off the bus that had a water bottle, and we filled that radiator back up, and we took back off down the highway. Um, so you just got to do what you got to do. If you get stuck somewhere, don't just sit in your car and think, "Oh, I'll be okay," and then you're shivering, because at night it gets really cold and your car turns into an ice box. So build a fire next to your car. You can build it, like, definitely build it on the side that doesn't have your gas cap. you know, um, which might be on the passenger side or something, and then have your door open. Stay with your car though. And anyways, I just wanted to go over real quick why people uh, are not allowed in national parks to take photographs, and they're not allowed to videotape. And it spans way back, right? So I didn't know people weren't allowed to take photographs. I recently found that out. I mean, I've taken photographs and videotape in the past in parks, and there's no signs that say you can't. But it is illegal, and so I just kind of wanted to cover that. When I was a kid, I was like 5, 6 years old. Um, my dad would take us into the parks a lot, national parks, and he worked for them. He was like a security kind of person for the parks department. I didn't know what he really did until I was maybe around 9 years old, and he would take me out to the national parks when people went missing, when they were when they disappeared, and and his job was to research the area, take photographs, and anything unusual. And he never researched the actual missing people. We didn't go looking for people. He would just go out and take photographs and look with binoculars and just it was really odd to me. I didn't understand what he did. I was 9 years old, and then I just kept going back out with him. My brother, he played sports, and he was older than me, so he had a lot of friends in sports and stuff. And myself, I didn't play sports, so my dad usually would pick me up from school, and we'd take off out into the mountains. And I'm sure that's part of the reason why I see all this stuff. And I've had the experiences I've had is probably because of him. Um, And so, yeah, he would take me out. I mean, we'd go everywhere. Mount Rainier a lot. We would go to uh, down to Tahoe quite a bit. Um, and yeah, he took me out of school when I did this too. Not every day, of course, but he might take me out of school like for a week at a time, and we would just truck on down the road to some park somewhere. We went to Crater Lake quite a bit, um, and still people go missing at Crater Lake, and it's just weird. So we never saw people when we went out there. We just went out there. My dad packed a couple guns. Actually, he had one on his hip and a 9 millimeter. It was a like military issue, and then he also carried a 45 caliber on his chest, and it was kind of a loose, um, holster, really loose, so he had easy access to it. It didn't face up like this, like most of them. It faced like sideways, so he could just reach up and pull it out like that. And and he did quite a bit. I mean, there was times where he'd hear something, we'd hear something weird, and he'd pull the gun out really quick and look around. He'd tell me get down, and I was at war and didn't even know it. He'd push me down and he'd say, "Stay quiet." And he'd look around, and I just thought, God, I got the coolest dad. I didn't even know what he did. And we'd just go out in the wilderness in the national parks you know, and do that. And then he reported to somebody. I never knew who he reported to until I got older. And he worked for the park system and national park system, which is it's a government company facility, right? Um, so he was some kind of I wouldn't say police officer. He was definitely some kind of security person. He didn't wear the badge. He didn't wear the uniform or anything like that. Um, but he definitely went into parks like right after people went missing, and I went with him. Thankfully, we never saw anyone dead. I never wanted to see that. And I would ask him, what if we find someone? He was like, it's okay, he'll take care of it. But we never did find anyone. We found, like weird things. We'd see weird things like, you monsters in the park. We definitely saw monsters in the park, and that's part of the reason why. I think that's the whole reason why you can't take photographs and pictures, or video in the parks is because of what actually lives there. They don't want people to see them. They don't want a photograph taken and then of some beautiful mountain and you see a UFO up there. Uh, they don't want that, and there's a higher chance of seeing that. I do believe that the government has contracts to allow the aliens and to live in the parks. I'm guessing probably they tell them it's free game. They could probably consume whatever they can catch. You I believe that they have some kind of contract that they're allowed to stay in the parks, and it's possible they just stay in the parks because they can stay hidden easier. The crafts I've seen and the beings I've seen, they use like a hologram. A lot of them carry this thing. It's like a belt that straps around them with this disc shaped like glass thing that's on their chest, and it produces a hologram. And so they'll create a hologram of like the surrounding landscape just to block themselves out. or to cover like a craft or something. It doesn't usually cover the entire craft. So if you think you see something, you probably do. I wouldn't suggest approaching it though. Definitely would approach it. Um, I've seen some crafts that were small, pretty small, and I think, oh, I'm gonna go over there and approach it because it's smaller than I am. But you don't know if there's 1,000 little beings in there, right? With some, with some, they could have some kind of, weapon, of course. Um, I mean, as far as we know, COVID-19 could be a weapon. Um, uh, Brought from another planet. We don't know. You know that kind of thing isn't told to us, right? We are cattle, and we do what we're told. That's it. And most people do what they're told. You know, I don't necessarily follow that. That's probably why I live in Alaska. Here in Alaska, no one wears a mask. I mean, I could go down the bar right now. It's 1 o'clock, so there's people at the bar. Sometimes I go to the Salty Dog down in Homer. I live in Whittier, so I have to drive pretty far to get to the bar. Usually, like Girdwood, Alyeska Ski Resort. I go there. Um, every once in a while, I'll drive down to Homer. It's a few hours away, and I go to the Salty Dog. It's right there. And I can just sit in the bar and have a beer and talk to someone just like normal. Nothing's. Alaska hasn't skipped a beat. you know, no one wears a mask, and they actually talk about why it's not safe to wear a mask. They talk about that on the radio all the time. The local stations, they actually have an ad that just talks on the radio why it's not safe to wear a mask. And people still get sick. The flu, right? They don't wear a mask because of COVID, not in Alaska. So it's interesting to me that some parts of the country are stronger with the mask than other parts. You know, it, so it kind of makes you feel like you're a hamster, in a cage. Like this cage, which we will call this cage California. We're gonna make them all wear a mask, and we're gonna make them crazy, and then you know, this one up here, we're gonna call this one Alaska, and they're not gonna have to wear a mask. And we're just gonna see how they react compared to these hamsters and see how they act. So it feels like it definitely feels like we every state is different and is reacting differently, and it's interesting to me. But it's I was in the hospital last year. I got really sick and I couldn't breathe, and it was January of last year. And so I was in the hospital 9 days. I lost 24 pounds, and I just wasn't gaining any weight, and I was just like, I mean, I was like throwing up from every orifice in my body. so, I was really, really sick, and they said I had the swine flu, and I was like, whoa, I can't believe I got the swine flu. That's when I had my newspaper route. If you watch some of my other videos, I talk about that newspaper route, and I literally woke up from the I was doing the route, and I woke up and I couldn't breathe, and I was coughing every second, and it just felt really tight in my lungs and my throat. Felt like I had a fur ball in my throat. It hurt so bad, and so I went right to the ER, and they um, got me in a room, and They said I had a rare bacteria in my blood they'd never seen before. Um, and so they said they wanted to send that to the Mayo Clinic. I didn't stay there long enough for them to tell me what the rare bacteria was. I ended up going to Providence Hospital in Anchorage. I felt more comfortable there. And they said there was no bacteria in my blood. So they either um, misdiagnosed me or contaminated my blood when it went to their lab. So I'm probably lucky I went to a different hospital. I just didn't feel comfortable in that small little hospital, and it was Soldotna, Alaska. It's called South, or no, it's called Central Peninsula. I think it's called Central Peninsula Hospital, and they called me up maybe 2 months later. I was in Hawaii. I went to Kauai, Hawaii. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go lay on the beach and wake up when the whole COVID thing's over. That's what I was thinking. I bought a tent and because you can camp on the beach in Hawaii for $5 a day. And I thought, oh yeah, I can definitely do that and just eat fruit, bananas or whatever, and and they said that the COVID dies from being in sunlight or something. So I was like, yeah, Hawaii's a good spot to just go and sleep it off because I was tired. I usually always have really difficult, hard jobs, driving truck and stuff. Definitely the newspaper. Um, it took a lot out of me because of all those aliens that I came in contact with, and so I was scared to death, and which I talked about in my other videos. So if you haven't seen that, you might want to watch them. Um, I was scared to death, and um, I had to leave Alaska. I thought they know I'm watching them, and if I stay, I'm gonna go missing. And I mean, they were following me around, and then that UFO following me, that really freaked me out. So I took off to Alaska and laid on the beach, and those aliens didn't know where I was, because I took off on an airplane. Um, so I just wanted to cover that real quick, and I came back to Alaska because it feels like home to me. I'm living in a excuse me, my nose itches. I'm living in a different area than I was. I was on the Kenai Peninsula and working out, doing the papers from between Soldotna and Homer. But now I'm in Whittier, so um, different aliens, definitely different ones. But they still come around, and they come to where you live too. They'll come in your house. So I suggest do what I did. Gosh, my nose is killing me. Maybe an alien just nose swabbed me. um, but I suggest get a couple game cameras and put the game cameras up in your bedroom. I know you're thinking, what, aliens in my house? This guy's full of crap. They come to everybody. You're like I said, you're a hamster in a cage. So if you don't feel like they come in your house, put up a couple game cameras. You can buy them at Cabela's for like $24 each. They're cheap. You can buy. I think you can even get an infrared one for like $24. I have like 7 of them, so I put them outside my door. Now I'm gonna put one on the roof because every night around 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and 4 a.m. I hear something hit the roof. Like it sounds like it flies in and lands on the roof, and it's heavy. It sounds like maybe the size of an eagle. It's probably one of those. owl gargoyle things I told you about in the video, in a different video. Um, but something's definitely landing, and I can hear it talk. It's communicating with something else, and the pipe up there. Camera. See the pipe up there goes to the roof. It's the vent for that microwave right there, and so I can hear them communicate at night. I turned on the my cell phone to record it last night, but as soon as I got over there, I didn't hear anything. Of course, one of these days I'm gonna record it, and I have a recording. I'm gonna put it on the roof, and then I have game cameras I'm going to put up there, and I hope I catch what's been landing on the roof, and I hope I catch them communicating. Um, but almost every night. So I'm thinking they probably know where I am, and they're probably watching, because I saw them and they saw that I could see them. So it's not. I don't think it's good when they know you can see them, and they know that you can watch them and take their photograph. But the noise, it was interesting. It was like something I'd never heard before, and it was like a chatter. It was like it made a weird noise, like, and then it would stop, and then I would hear the same kind of noise, but a different tone, like it was something else speaking. It was like, and I'm just like, holy shit, can't believe what I'm hearing. I didn't know what it was. At first, I thought, okay, maybe it's water running through a pipe, because you hear that sometimes, right? The pipes are over in that room over there. And what I hear is in that vent, because I stuck my ear up to it and I can hear it right there. And there's no pipes up on the roof, you know, and that's just a fan vent pipe. The only thing I have on the roof is like the Wi-Fi, and there's electrical up there. Uh, there are cameras up there. There's 3 cameras up there, but I don't have the feed for them. I wish I did. And they're live motion cameras that are always recording. Um, my landlord has the key to that lock. um, and I'm not gonna go, hey, can I go look at your camera footage? you know, maybe I don't want the whole town to hate me or to feel threatened by me. I like where I live. I can walk outside and the water's like right there, which is it's so beautiful. You know, green turquoise water, glaciers nearby. I mean, it's just remote Alaska. It's so beautiful. Um, so yeah, definitely, and the massive mountains all around me. So I'll shoot some videos outside so you guys can see. I'm sure you're wondering about that. Why I'm always sitting at my desk. Um, part of it is fear. you know, I do live in fear. A little bit of those beings. Because I know, I'm sure they know where I am by now. Uh, it usually takes about a month for them to find you where you move to when you do move. Um, but they keep track of you, just like if you were a lab rat, basically. And if you have some kind of tag on you, you're a lab rat. You have a tag on you, and you're in a cage, and then you somehow get out and you get into a different cage somewhere else in the same lab. Then they eventually find you, and they're like, he came over here. So like it might be different aliens, but they're still kind of connected. So um, it'll take it'll definitely take them about a month to relocate you, but they will do it. I have people that I continually talk to that um, have they run the live game cameras every day in their house. Um, I've told like one guy was like, my wife sees aliens, but I don't see anything. And I told him, I said, well, um, I said, go get yourself a motion camera, um, and then and put it outside. And I said, open your blinds up, sit in front of the window in a chair, and all night. I'm talking like between like 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. Just right between those times. Just sit there, look out the window, open your shades so whoever's outside can see you. Leave the light on, and set up a game camera outside, facing towards that window. I said, you will be the lure. Okay, you're going to lure all kinds of beings over to that window, and you will be shocked, and it will happen the first night. So the wife was like, "Yeah, yeah, let's do that." And so the guy's like, "Okay, yeah, no problem, we can do that." And so they just sat there and talked and drank coffee and looked outside, basically. And just you can't see a lot when you're on the inside and you're looking outside. But if you're outside and the lights on the inside and the shades are open, you'll see all kinds of things, right? Um, so the beings come up to see why the people are awake. Why are they sitting there looking, just kind of looking outside? They're so curious. What's going on here? They'll come up and they'll look in your window. You're going to catch them on camera. And I suggest everybody do that. And also put them up in your bedroom. You will catch them opening your bedroom door and coming in. I promise you that. It will happen. It won't happen every day, but when they do make their rounds, it will happen. Um, they do come to people, and it's extremely perverse and scary, and there's nothing we can do about it. So I'm gonna end it there. Get note down it on right. So you can't take a picture in the national park, can't videotape in a national park because they're protecting the aliens. That's why. All right. Peace, guys. Hope you subscribe and check out my store. Get yourself a shirt. All right. I'll see you next time.